people who are much discouraged. But he prays, and you got to read the book of Nehemiah. I can't do it tonight. I'm going to read one portion for you. Go to the 4th chapter of Nehemiah if you want to look at it with me in verse 1. But it so happened when Sanballat heard that we were rebuilding the wall, he was furious and indignant. Everybody say, "Shoo, devil, shoo." Isn't that the devil? All of a sudden now, the people are back up to work and they're starting to get organized. And by family, I got to get rid of this. Excuse me. It's driving me nuts. But thank you, it helped me. And they get stirred up, and Nehemiah puts them in families, puts them on the wall, puts a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. They're laying stones and fighting the enemy, but the walls are getting built back up again. And now all of a sudden the enemy's kicked off again. Everybody go, "Ooh, let's make the devil mad." But it so happened when Sanballat, I looked up Sanballat's name in the Hebrew. You know what it means? It means a cutter. A cutter. Isn't that how Satan works? He's always cutting us down. So when he heard that we were rebuilding the wall, he was furious, very indignant, and mocked the Jews. And he spoke before his brethren and the army of Samaria and said, now listen to this, what are these feeble Jews doing? Will they fortify themselves? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they complete it in a day? Will they revive the stones from the heaps of rubbish, stones that are burned? You hear that? You hear that caustic element in his voice? Hear the accusation of Satan. Notice what he attacks. First of all, he attacks their weakness. You feeble Jews. How many of you have ever been attacked for your weaknesses by the devil? Who do you think you are? And you know what? He always reminds you of your past. He's always bringing up your past failures. He's always reminding you of where you failed. Then, second, he mocks us in our strengths. Notice what he says. What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they fortify themselves? So you think you're a builder, huh? So you think you can get this job done. You think you can strengthen yourself. He not only attacks your weaknesses, he attacks your strengths. How many go like this? I got to quit. 3, he attacks your worship. Will you offer sacrifices? How many of you ever been in a worship service and the devil came to you and you just like as clear as day, could hear him say, who do you think you are worshiping God? You ever heard that accusation? How do you lift your hands based on what you did this week? You're going to offer sacrifice? You're going to come in here? How many times have you been cheated by Satan because you hear that condemnation? Are you going to come in here and worship after that? You hear that? You hear that? Your work. He attacks your work. Will they complete it in one day? He attacks what you're doing. How many of you ever heard this? You're just wasting your time. Why even go to church today? You ain't going to get nothing out of it. Why would you even bother teaching, you hypocrite? Why would you even bother trying to serve God? What's in it? You know what's going to happen. You hear that? He attacks your work. He attacks your worship. He attacks your weakness. He attacks your strength. And then look at the last one, and I'll quit, I promise. Because I said it all just to get to right here. He attacks your past. Will they revive stones from the heap of rubbish? You know, when now I want you to listen to me because I bring this to a close. I can see this so powerfully in my spirit. When Nehemiah put them on to work with the wall, and he actually got endorsed by our Texas And he actually brought materials from Persia to Jerusalem, but the only thing he brought with him was wood. You know what they had to rebuild the wall out of? The old stones. They looked at this pile, this garbage pile, and God says, I want you to build a wall out of that. Now these stones, remember, they had been beat down, burned. Notice what it says there, how they were burned with fire. You know what that means? They had the residue of soot on them because they were dirty. They were a mess. They were rubbish. Well, most people would have looked at it and said, throw them away, we'll go find something better. You know who those stones represent? They represent us. And the fact that God looked at us, even in our failure, even when we dropped out or just got off track, and where most people would, when you look at something that's garbage, you know what we do in our culture? We throw it away and say, I'll go get a new one. Right? I mean, of all the millions of people, too, God could take that attitude. If he's not going to do it, just get him out of the way. I'll go get somebody who will. That's not how God works. God looks at your life, even the mistakes, even where you're at, and when He knows, and He looks at the soot, the residue. Some of us are still carrying around this junk from our past because you haven't quite got freed up from it. When somebody touches you, they walk away from you because there's still some of that residue in our life. But does that disqualify you? No. You know what God's going to do? He's going to wash you up with the washing of the water of the Word. He's going to polish you, buff you. He's going to take all that old junk, and He's going to take it all out. He's going to replace it with everything new. He's going to make you like a new stone. In fact, in time, people are going to go, you really? You were that? They won't even believe it. And you're going to have to say, yeah, I was really a mess. But instead of God discarding me, He picked me up. He gave me a brand new hope. Then He gave me faith to walk this out. And He put me back to work. He put me back in the wall. And now I'm filling my place in this whole program because the God of hope has caused me to abound. And I have joy and peace in this believing. Yeah, I've had to fight through some